Retro Road Test, 1978 Volkswagen Golf GTI vs Ford Escort RS2000. Cast your mind back to Britain in 1978. The Bee Gees were at the top of the charts, British Leyland was on strike again, of course, and your average suburban dad still thought a quart in a gear was the last word in sophistication. But for the spirited driver, the sort who didn't just want to get from A to B, but wanted to arrive at B before anyone else, with a grin plastered across their face, the landscape was suddenly rather exciting. On one side of the channel sat the Volkswagen Golf GTI, a pert, practical German hatchback that had been given a thorough injection of steroids. On the other, Ford's Escort RS2000, Britain's homegrown hero, aimed squarely at the same drivers with a different philosophy: rear-wheel drive, a big-bore Pinto engine, and rallybred swagger. Both were fast, affordable, and exciting, yet utterly different in character. So which one deserves your hard-earned in 1978? We spent a week with both to find out. Performance. Volkswagen Golf GTI. The Golf GTI's claim to fame lies in its engine, a 1.6-litre fuel-injected four-cylinder, Bosch K-Jetronic, no less. With 110 bhp on tap, it might not sound earth-shattering, but remember this is 1978, when most family saloons could barely muster 70. In the lightweight Golf shell, just 810 kilograms, that translates into 0-60 miles per hour in around 9 seconds and a top speed of 113 miles per hour. What makes it so endearing is the way the revs build. The motor is eager, smooth, and willing to spin happily up towards its limit. For the enthusiastic driver, it rewards precise gear changes and keeps pulling without complaint. The 4-speed manual box, precise if a little notchy, suits its character. Ford Escort RS2000. Ford, being Ford, didn't bother with trickery like fuel injection. The Escort RS2000 packs the trusty 2.0-litre Pinto engine, carbureted, naturally aspirated, and proud of it. With 110 bhp too, it matches the Golf on paper, but it's a very different animal. It produces more torque lower down, meaning you don't need to wring its neck to make rapid progress. Its 0-60 miles per hour time is just under 9 seconds, while top speed hovers around 110 miles per hour. Not far off the Golf, but the delivery is lumpier, gruntier, and accompanied by a throaty soundtrack that would make any young lad in a sheepskin coat nod approvingly. The 4-speed gearbox feels less precise, but more forgiving. You can be a little lazy, and the torque hauls you through. Verdict on performance: the Golf is the scalpel, the Escort the sledgehammer. Handling. Golf GTI. The Golf's trump card is front-wheel drive. Yes, purists may sniff, but the reality is that in the wet, which, being Britain, is most of the time, it gives mere mortals the confidence to exploit its performance without ending up backwards through a hedge. The rack and pinion steering is sharp and light, with minimal body roll thanks to stiffened suspension. On twisty B roads, the Golf dances, point it at an apex, and it darts in eagerly. Lift off mid-corner and the back end will twitch, but it's more chuckle-inducing than terrifying. Escort RS2000. The Escort is rear-wheel drive, and proud of it. With its rallying pedigree, you expect drama, and you get it. The RS2000 corners with excellent balance, helped by its well-sorted suspension and excellent weight distribution. Push too hard, and the tail will step out, but in the hands of a competent driver, it's all controllable, adjustable on the throttle, and huge fun. The steering is heavier but brimming with feel. You don't so much turn into corners as lean on the chassis and coax it round with right foot modulation. It's a car that demands respect, but rewards bravery. Verdict on handling: for precision and safety, the Golf takes the nod. For thrills and opposite-lock tomfoolery, the Escort wins hands down. Ride and comfort: the Golf is firm but composed. Volkswagen managed to balance taut handling with enough compliance to keep your spine intact over potholes. Long journeys are perfectly tolerable, with supportive seats and minimal vibration. The Escort, in contrast, feels rawer. The ride is harder, more jittery, especially at low speeds. On smooth tarmac it's fine, but over broken surfaces it fidgets constantly. Noise levels are higher too: wind, road, and engine all make themselves known. This isn't to say the Escort is unbearable, it just feels more like a car that's been honed for the rally stage than for the school run. Practicality: this is where the Golf shines. Being a hatchback, it offers genuine everyday usability: folding rear seats, decent boot space, and room for 4 adults without significant complaints. It really is a wolf in sheep's clothing. You could drive your mother-in-law to Tesco in it, and she'd be none the wiser. The Escort, being a saloon, or coupe, depending on trim, is less versatile. The boot is smaller and less accessible, and rear seat passengers don't get the same space. If practicality matters, the Golf is a clear winner. Styling: the Golf GTI is subtle, almost too subtle. Aside from red grille trim, tartan seats, and a discreet badge, it looks like a normal Golf. To some, this Q car image is half the appeal. To others, it's a bit bland. The Escort RS2000, however, shouts about its intent. Flared arches, bold stripes, chunky bumpers, and that sloping nose cone give it presence in a way the Golf never achieves. Park one outside the pub, and everyone knows you've arrived. It's the extrovert of the pair. Interior and ergonomics: the Golf's cabin is Teutonic efficiency at its best. Clear dials, decent driving position, comfortable seats, with that iconic tartan trim, and an overall sense of quality. It feels modern for 1978. The Escort's interior is simpler, more old school. Basic plastics, slightly awkward switchgear, and a driving position that never quite feels right: pedals offset, steering wheel too close. The seats are fine, but long journeys leave you shifting about. Still, you can't deny it has a certain charm, and the simplicity appeals to those who prefer function over frippery. Running costs: fuel economy is where the Golf trumps the Escort. Thanks to fuel injection, it manages around 32 miles per gallon if you're sensible, whereas the Escort struggles to top 25 miles per gallon. Servicing costs are fairly even, though Ford parts are cheaper and more plentiful in the UK. Insurance premiums: both will sting a young driver, but the Escort's boy racer image makes it particularly tempting to thieves and insurers alike. Character: here's where the intangible differences matter. The Golf GTI is the rational enthusiast's car. It's quick, agile, and practical, all wrapped up in an unassuming package. It's the car you can buy, use every day, and still enjoy on weekends. The Escort RS2000 is all about drama. It looks racy, sounds racy, drives racy, and makes you feel like a rally driver even when you're only fetching a pint of milk. It's less practical, less refined, but more emotive. Verdict: so, which one to buy in 1978? If you want a car that balances speed with sense, the Golf GTI is the clear winner. It's usable, efficient, and still thrilling, the sort of car you could justify to your other half. But if your heart rules your head, if you want a car that makes you grin like a fool and impresses your mates outside the chippy, the Escort RS2000 is irresistible. In truth, the answer depends on what sort of driver you are. The Golf GTI is the birth of a new breed, the hot hatch. The Escort RS2000 is the ultimate expression of the old breed, the sporting saloon. Both are brilliant, both are flawed, and both, in their own ways, are icons.